puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. Free too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
All right. Welcome in to the MLS Live podcast on the Sports Profit TV. This is week 2 MLS betting discussion and picks. Right off the bat, let's just take care of some business. And we've already put out our official recap, as we will on the Twitter page every week, regardless of win or lose. Obviously, a lot more fun when you win. But let's discuss it a little bit. I mean, I think we owe our viewers a discussion just so they can kind of see where our heads were at and where our heads are at on a week-to-week basis. We were chatting about it a little bit before the show started. Obviously, like, nobody's going to be more honest about like how, the quality of the handicap, et cetera, than we are, because we want to win. And if you're not honest with yourself about, handicaps in hindsight, you're not going to be very good in the long term. But one of the big issues with week 1 around the league, and it unfortunately affected us and some of our picks, was there was a lot of confusion with the injury report. Obviously, I was on Austin. They're all world, attacking midfielder. They're 10, Driussi, MVP caliber player, had no injury designation at all going into the game, and he just sits. He's not even on the bench. So that kind of killed that one. There were some other ones that involved our picks. We had some goofy stuff, like we were on an under in Portland, and Portland scores 4 goals on a 0.52 expected goal figure there. So there was a little bit of that kind of sprinkled around.
That was parlayed with the Crew, who had Cucho miss a penalty.
There you go, another one. And Cucho, has Cucho ever missed a penalty in MLS?
He was 7 for 7 last year, so
right.
He doesn't miss them often. It was just a buzzsaw weekend. It happens. You're gonna run into bad weeks. We were fortunate enough to not have very many of them last season. And if I'm being honest, I would rather get it out of the way now. If we're gonna repeat similar success to last season, get it out of the way now. Get through that buzzsaw. And yeah, like I've been angry. So like things always tend to go better when I handicap angry. It seems. So I think that bodes well for this show.
A little extra focus, a little bit of extra grit there in the handicap. But yeah, I agree. And I can confidently say this. I feel like I have a much better kind of grip and view of what these MLS clubs look like now after week 1. Should have more of the incoming transfers available this week, because we had a couple teams that were without them. But I will say this about this week. I'm very excited about it. If you saw the tweet that we put out on Twitter earlier today, we're going to have our first 2-unit play of the season. In fact, we have 2 2-unit plays. If you followed the podcast last year, we smashed 2 units from start to finish. When we added an extra unit to a play, upped our confidence level. It was with good reason. So let's go ahead and get into it, brother.
Yeah,
all right,
man, let's do it.
First game on the docket. Vancouver Whitecaps are going to be at home hosting Charlotte. Garrett, this is yours, bro.
Yeah, so I love getting Vancouver at this price, so I'm going to take their money line at -110. Vancouver hasn't played since February 14th. Of course, they got knocked out of CONCACAF Champions Cup early, and then had like a bye in match week 1 for MLS. So this is going to be their home opener, first game of the season. And they're getting a Charlotte team that is still subpar on talent. I mean, they're still lacking 2 designated players. Dean Smith is still working on making this team into his image. And until like he gets the guys he wants, I think you're going to see what we saw week 1 versus NYC, which is just real simplistic soccer. Like, if we're being honest, like it was a basic formation, your basic setup. And I like that, as Vancouver plays mind games a lot with their formations. You never really know what they're going to run out. You kind of have an idea, but they always seem to tweak it a little bit. You're giving me a West Coast team at this price. We talk about it season in, season out, the West Coast home field advantage when it comes to the travel. Few professional leagues in the world have the kind of travel that MLS teams have just because the country is so big. So West Coast has one of the best home field advantages of any league anywhere. And it's a small sample size for Charlotte. Of course, they haven't been around, but for only a couple of seasons. But they've yet to win a road game out west in the Western Conference. So taking all of that, Vancouver, I'm high on Vancouver. This is a team that I think could finish as high as third in the Western Conference. To do that, you're going to need a lot of wins. And I think this is a great price to start the show off with.
Yeah, and for anybody wondering, Vancouver is the only team in Major League Soccer that has not played an official game yet this season. They were the only one that had their bye week 1, so rest should not be a problem. Like you mentioned, back home here on the West Coast, these guys were a wagon at home last year. I want to remind everybody real quick before we get into all the games here, please hit the thumbs up if you're watching. I think we got like around 800 views on last week's episode, but we only got like 50 likes. So those likes, like all you got to do if you're watching the show, hit the thumbs up button. It helps us get our show kind of like into that SEO, into the algorithm, so more people can see it. And that's kind of what we're after. You know, obviously we want to share this with as many people as we can. So hit the thumbs up. Makes a big difference. Okay.
And when you tune in, you get live updates like Philadelphia Union just got a red card.
Oh my gosh.
So this match has been bonkers.
That's brutal. That's that.
Bonkers match.
All right. Well, I don't like that, but back to the matter at hand here. All right. I watched Charlotte from start to finish. I've gotten to most of these games, even the ones that I didn't get to watch live. I've gone back and watched almost all of them. I think I have like 2 or 3 games left that I haven't gotten to see yet. Charlotte did look improved from an organizational standpoint. As far as on the field, you know, their back line wasn't all over the place. They weren't getting out leveraged left and right like we saw last year. That's obviously because, you know, their new coach is not a total moron. But I don't want to give them too much credit because NYCFC looked like they couldn't even take a touch or make a pass without NYCFC might be the choppiest of all offenses right now. Like they're still working on getting their pieces in.
I think it'll be like that for a lot of the season. You're talking about, I think, the youngest team in MLS this season. And so you could just see they were overwhelmed in Charlotte. Like that atmosphere just overwhelmed them. The average age is, I think, 24.2 years old. So you've got a lot of kids out there who just, I think it'll be a season-long process to really get all the pieces to sync. I think they will have games where they look amazing, and I think you'll have a lot of games where it looks like this, where like they just can't get anything going, and it's part of not having a lot of veteran leadership in that locker room.
Yeah, I do think they'll come around. You know, obviously they're very talented. They've got some, but right now, man, it was choppy. And this is going to be a completely different look for Charlotte going to the West Coast, to Vancouver against a veteran team that had the least amount of turnover in Major League Soccer. Vancouver has the least amount of starting minute turnover in the entire league. They're polished and ready to go. So yeah, I dig it. I'm right there with you. Man, yes, I'm glad HU said this in the chat because I was tweeting this last week. Nick Cushing is this year's Greg Vanney for me. I'm already.
He was last year's Greg Vanney too. Nick's been bad since he took over.
He's horrible. He's absolutely miserable at NYC. All right, on to the next one. Man, I'm excited about this slate. We've got some good spots here for the viewers. I'm going to Chicago and hosting FC Cincinnati. This will be Chicago's home opener. I'm getting creative here, or you know, maybe creative is not the right word, but I think I'm getting value here. I'm taking Chicago to win. if Chicago wins this game, like I wasn't that interested in playing them at money line plus 115, plus 110, whatever it is straight up right now. I want to get some extra bang for my buck because this is the only way that I can really see this game playing out. If they end up winning, they're not going to blow them out. Chicago's not scoring 3 goals. I don't really see it happening. So I'm taking their money line plus the under 3.5 goals market for a plus 255. I'm putting a half a unit on this. Because I think if Chicago wins, it's 1-0, 2-0 type game. Even if Cincy scores, and it's a 2-1 win, we still cash our ticket. Cincinnati, boy, I really think I'm not exaggerating to say that they were struggling to create as well. They're really missing Barrial, Moreno, those type of guys that would come up on the wings and really kind of like help create the buildup and the flow. They were choppy themselves, really not creating. I know Bupenza didn't come on until the second half. He'll probably be able to start for this one, but I think they're missing some pieces. Obviously, Brandon Vasquez is in Mexico with Monterrey now, so they're missing him as well. But yeah, I was not impressed with Cincinnati from an offensive perspective. I think this is a good spot for Chicago to, get their first win of the season, and I think if it is, it's going to be a low scoring win. So give me the value here.
This is an interesting play. It is important to like Cincinnati. I think they are going to struggle to start the season. That is just the nature of CONCACAF Champions Cup. For instance, last weekend, teams that played in Champions Cup went 0 wins. What was it? 1 draw, 1 loss, and 5 draws. And all of those matches scored a combined 5 goals.
Wow.
It's just that is the nature of the beast when you have this tournament to start off the season. So I wasn't surprised that Cincy looked rough. I also think that if you can try to shut down Acosta, this team can't do much of anything, and that's what happened last week. They played Acosta tight and aggressively, and he just wasn't able to do much. But we talked about there being reasons why we're not on, or at least why I wasn't on Cincy as like a futures. Like we saw that in the comments during our future show, was like people couldn't believe that we weren't on Cincinnati. This is why Cincinnati got worse. This is a worse team from last year. So they no, I'm not taking this team to win it all when the talent has gotten worse in a conference that has only gotten better. Everyone's catching up to Cincinnati. So while I also don't like the fire, I get the Cincinnati fade here. I talked about being worried about Kuipers because if he doesn't get service, he's not going to excel. He had 1 shot, and Chicago were only in that Philadelphia game because of Gutierrez, and he just threw the team on his back and did everything himself, basically. Which he can do that. He's great. I love that kid, and he's not long for this league. He's going to get picked up and be in Europe soon. But I don't know how to approach this match other than I really lean the under. I do like your under look, and so getting this kind of price for Chicago to grab one, this could easily be a 1-0. I think Cincy are still going to struggle to score. I like Brady in net for Chicago. I think that kid is going to be legit. So I do like the price and where your head is here. I lean the under. So this is a creative look.
Okay, let's get to the comment section real quick, and then we'll get back to business. Ashley asks do we have any thoughts on the CONCACAF Champions Cup game between Houston and St. Louis that's about to start? I think we both are kind of on the same page there.
I don't have any action there. Houston has at home has predominantly been a under scenario. Both teams to score no was also pretty profitable there, especially last season. But with no Herrera, no Quiones out on the wing, a rotated squad here, I just don't love it. This game could do anything, honestly. I don't think Houston should be a such a heavy favorite as far as not being like plus money at all. And I'm certainly not going to back St. Louis here, as Houston's home is just so dominant historically. So this is a game I'm just laying off. If I'll watch it and see if something develops live, because Houston does need to win. And we'll see how aggressive they are in the beginning, what St. Louis does to answer. But this one was a tough one.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you as far as passing. I'll just say, like, I'm gonna be on the St. Louis fade wagon again this year. I think that I'm gonna make a good deal of money fading St. Louis this year. But this is not the spot. Tough spot for Houston, like you said. Okay, on to our next game, and this is one of yours.
Speaking of Houston. So Red Bulls are going to Houston, getting Houston on short rest. And this is at my absolute maximum juice cutoff. You will never see me post anything that is worse than minus 150. And I'm actually upset because when I looked at this line last night, it was still playable. Like I think it was, depending on the book, minus 135 to minus 145. Yeah. So it's already moved a little bit. I grabbed it a couple hours before the show. If you can't get this line, if the risk is too high for you, there's a play coming up later in the show where I'm going to suggest you parlay it, and I think that's how you can still get it in at the play we're using. But I saw this team in person last weekend when they came to Geodis Park, and man, Forsberg is great. Forsberg is great. This is his team, and he runs the show already week one. Yep. Like, he's the captain. This is his team. Everything revolves around him. It was amazing that the Red Bulls didn't net one in that game. And I think the Red Bulls are arguably the toughest team to play against. I think they're incredibly difficult to break down. Forsberg is going to add an element that they did not have last year in terms of just an elevation of talent and creativity. And like I said, we're getting Houston midweek in a game where they have to win. So I expect the lineup's already out. They have some starters in the 11 to start. They've got some guys that are going to come off the bench and get time as well here in the second half. And then again, Herrera is still going to be hurt. Quiotes is out for the season. Those are big pieces for this team that they need. And I think unless when Ferreira comes back, I think we're going to see, and he's like, I don't know, does a 180. I think we're still going to see their ability to finish in the final third is going to be an issue all season. Baird is off to Cincy, so that's 14 goals missing from last season. I think he was their team leader in goals last season. So that's not good. And so again, this is just going with the trend of CONCACAF Champions Cup. I know Houston has been a dominant home field, especially last season. But yeah, I think this is a good spot to get Red Bulls at a double chance. I can't pass on this even at the price.
I think this is a fantastic play. I love your reasoning here. And I like that you were able to be at the game last week and kind of get a feel for this New York Red Bull squad and their new look with Forsberg. But I don't think it can be overstated how thin the Dynamo really are right now. These guys today, look at their roster. They've got like 7 or 8 academy guys on their roster right now. Like, they are ridiculously thin, and they're dealing with CONCACAF Champions Cup tonight. They're going to play hard because they're down a goal. Like, there's no resting. They're missing guys, super thin. This is a great play. This is a really good play. If this was minus 130-ish, I think potentially another 2-unit play on our hand. I really think that this is a very strong look because of how these two are going to set up. And the way New York Red Bulls have played in seasons past on the road, like, that's already kind of their strength because of like the way they press and counter. Now they've got Forsberg playing the same style. They're that much better. So love it. Okay. On to the next game. And all right, so we're talking New England Revs and Toronto. We've got 2 plays for this one. I've got a play for this one. Garrett has a play for this one. I'll start us off. And yeah, I'm going to back Toronto here on the goal spread at +1. This is closer to like on my PPH. This was -135. I think I saw some -132. So this is close. This was the best price I could find. But -135 is fine on the +1. A lot of books will have this at +0.75 on the Asian handicap. I prefer, if you have a +1, a book that offers +1 on the alternate spread, that's my preference, but +0.75, not the end of the world for even money. Okay. I think Toronto has kind of rebounded and decided that, their main guys, Insigne and Bernardeschi, like, we're kind of stuck here. Let's not suck. Like let's put some effort into this. Like let's try to have a good season. Um, I thought they looked good against Cincinnati. They had some really good moments, particularly in the first half. They should have scored at least one goal, and potentially more. So I think that looked good. I think they looked more solid. They were still giving the ball away some, but I think Toronto has definitely taken a step forward, and I just don't think the market has totally accounted for it yet. And then as far as the Revs go, I know they're going to be without Veroni, which he's not a world beater anyways. But I'm just not that impressed with the Revs. I'm not that high on them, to be honest with you. I just think that kind of the league is getting better around them, and I'm not seeing them necessarily get better. So I wasn't super impressed with the way that New England looked last week. So give me
Well,
Toronto.
they went down a man in like 13 minutes.
No, I know. Yeah. But just I don't know. I'm just not super impressed with the Revs at the
You
moment.
weren't high on them though going into the season.
That's true.
So I get it.
Yeah. All right. So any thoughts on this before we get to yours?
I can just roll them into mine because I've got similar thoughts here for both sides.
Okay.
Where again, I'll just roll into mine where I'm getting the under 3 and combine it with yours. So I'm taking the under 3 here. Again, it is fading the CONCACAF Champions Cup midweek teams. These guys still aren't in shape, and now for the Revs, this will be their 4th game already this season. Not in MLS play, but just 4th game in total, thanks to 2 legs of Champions Cup, and then now week 2 in MLS. And I already threw out the stat about what these teams did, who had to play midweek last week and how that went for the weekend. The reason why I'm not on the under for Houston Red Bulls is because it's a 2.5, which I think is fine. Like that could be another look if you didn't want to take the Red Bulls double chance and save a little juice. You could take the under 2.5. But when I'm getting the hard 3 here, that's much more appealing to me than the 2.5. So I will pay some juice here for the under 3. But yeah, Veroni, he is going to be suspended. They're DP9, who they're still waiting to actually look like a DP.
Mhm.
And I mean, like Red Bulls don't, I mean, not Red Bulls, Revolution don't do anything last week if it wasn't for Carlos Heel being Carlos Heel and just doing amazing things.
Yeah.
But that's why he's a former MVP. What I want to focus on more for this under, though, is Toronto. Like the Revs, I think they can be semi-dangerous. I think they can score. But I really like what Toronto did. And I think this is just an under the radar signing that just didn't get talked about much, even by me, is Flores for Toronto. He was the best player on the pitch last week. I know Sean Johnson got man of the match, which is whatever. He was fine. But Flores did so much tactically that like the casual fan just doesn't see, right? Like he was constantly breaking up play, putting out fires, doing the things that really got Toronto burned last season because they didn't have somebody doing that role, that safety net in the midfield to shut it down. So you don't get overpowered on your back line. And so, in fact, like Toronto went to Cincinnati and kept Cincinnati to a 0.89 expected goals. Like a large part of that was Flores. This Toronto team on the road last season, I think was tied for giving up the most goals in the league when on the road. Like they were awful on the road.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And so for you to be able to lock down Cincy in Cincy's house like that, get out of there with a 0-0, that's all on Toronto's midfield and back line, which is just which I was really impressed with. I think that's going to be a focus to get started. You know who you have in attack, right? You've got Insigne, you've got the Bundesliga 2 journeyman Prince finally getting like actual run. He didn't play a lot last season.
Yeah.
And then a fun little wrinkle that Toronto did was have Bernardeschi as a right wing back.
I thought it looked good.
It was unexpected and fun, and like it worked. And if this is, I'm very curious to see if this continues this week and if this becomes a thing. Like, are they trying to turn Bernardeschi into a wingback because he can help you on the overlaps. He can help you overload a side and then send in good balls into the box or play. And it's important to note because they got Larea too. So now you have two attacking minded fullbacks who are going to overlap and actually drive to the box to score or can send in crosses. Very, very interesting setup for Toronto. And I think it could actually work really well, giving just what that team is, because they are who they are. The talent that they have is the talent that they have. They've got the Italian studs. I think Larea is great. And then they are lacking in certain areas too. And so this could be a nice way to try to make up for that and make teams think twice tactically about how to approach them. But yeah, I think the under 3 is just a really good look here with it being Champions Cup. No Veroni, Toronto. They didn't. Now I talked about the defense. The attack did not look great against Cincinnati. They didn't create a lot, but they were on the road. Here they are on the road again, and I think it'll be. I think it'll be a similar game plan where you're going to have a low scoring. Toronto tries to get out there with a point, and Rebs just try to not lose their heads.
Yeah, no, I think what you mentioned about the midfielder, finding his name right now, Flores. Yeah, I came away with the exact same thoughts. Under the radar, man. Like he came from Hungary. I don't even remember like us talking about him. Man,
did they not? I know for a fact we didn't talk about him.
Well, they needed that like all year last. Like they look like a real team now with his presence out there. They don't like they look like they have some foundation. Let me see here. All right, real quick, we're about to get into our first 2-unit plays of the season. We got 2 of them for you guys, so stick around. Hit the like button, thumbs up, please, and let's get to it. All right. First 2-unit of the season for me. I'm going to be fading my squad, unfortunately, but I don't really care because the only team that I really care about on Saturday is the Sounders. Taking Seattle -1 for even money for 2 units here. Talked about it a little bit on Twitter, but I'll just kind of refresh anybody. Man, Austin, they look like the worst team in Major League Soccer right now. Driussi obviously didn't play. I checked updates. It sounds like he got injured in the final day of practice and couldn't go. So I'm expecting that he goes while I'm making this bet. So like if he doesn't go, it's just a bonus. If Driussi doesn't go, this is a walloping. If he does go, I still think they cover this, because I think Austin is that bad. Austin has one of the worst coaches in Major League Soccer and one of the worst rosters, if not the worst. Definitely the worst if Driussi's not on the field, and he wasn't. Man, Austin was lucky that they didn't lose 3 or 4-0 to Minnesota United in Austin without Driussi on the field, and Minnesota didn't have Halanganai or Reynoso. Like they put like 2.5 expected goals on Austin. Austin looks abysmal. Seattle, I actually thought looked pretty good on the road against LAFC. Obviously, LAFC is very strong, and they had more moments in that game than Seattle did. But Pedro de la Vega, I was super impressed with him. I was kind of expecting to be impressed with him, but I was impressed with him nonetheless. He should start for this one.
Yeah, Schmitzer confirmed this evening on the radio that he believes De La Vega is going to start.
Okay, so he gets a start. That's an upgrade anywhere on the field. When he's
Well, they need a 10. They don't have a 10. Like Ladero's not there anymore. Rusnak's hurt for this game.
Right.
Morris is probably going to have to play as a lone striker because I don't know if Rui's going to go. So yeah, De La Vega has to play.
So De La Vega 10, Chu and Roldan out wide with Morris up top.
That's how I would expect it to be. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And that's fine. Look, this is a real team versus a not real team for me. And the real team is opening their season at home at Lumen Field. I like the spread here because I think if something goofy happens, a deflected goal, look, I don't think like Austin's just they're Rajoni and Zardes are leading the line here for Austin. I don't expect them to create much on the road against one of the best, if not the best, back lines in the entire league. Seattle will have no mercy. This is worst case a push for me. But I'm going to play the -1 on the spread for even money. And I think if things go how they should, I think this is a winner.
So this is the play I was referring to with the Red Bulls double chance. If you just wanted to parlay Red Bulls and Sounders money line, I absolutely love that parlay this week. And that's going to give you a good amount of plus money as well. This line makes me sad only because the money line was playable like Sunday night. Like when lines dropped, Sounders were like -135, -140. And now it's moved almost 30 cents. Because if I could have gotten the money line, that would have been a possible show play for me. So they are missing pieces. Fry's not going to play. Rusnak's not going to play. João Paulo's not going to play. But Sounders are okay, and this is a bad Austin team. For me, I think I'd rather do that parlay as I talked about. But the -1, this is a push at worst for me, and you're getting it at even money, so it feels safe-ish. But the Sounders are legit. They're good, even with those pieces missing, and Austin are bad, and I think it's that simple.
And like one of the things with Sounders, the last year or so is like they're older, so you don't really worry about them until like middle of the season. They get banged up, they get tired. It's the beginning of the year. This is the home opener, and man, I can only see this game really going one way. So I'm really excited about this one, and I'm really excited about the next play here because you and I were literally DMing about this like when lines dropped. So let's get into it.
So I'm gonna grab the Galaxy team total over 1.5 as they travel on the short trip to San Jose. I'm gonna throw 2 units on this. It's not regular that I have 2 units on a plus money look, but I don't understand this line, and so I'm gonna fire on it. The Galaxy attack is going to be legit, and I don't think we see prices like this for their team total very much this season. And so I'm trying to take advantage of it while we get it. Even on the road, I don't think their team total is going to be prices like this going forward. I mean, they're coming off a game with Miami where they had a 3.37 expected goals.
Yeah.
Just a wild game. The trip, like I said, to San Jose is short. And even when Vanny had bad Galaxy sides, this is hit on the last 4 trips they've made to San Jose since 2021.
Wow.
So now this Galaxy side is even better under Vanny. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Also, for me, a concern is Daniel, the goalkeeper for San Jose. He had a really rough game against Dallas. He didn't look good. He doesn't look good to start the season. And this guy was one of the best goalies last year. And so if he's getting off to a rough start, that doesn't bode well for San Jose because he was a big reason of what they were able to accomplish last season, if you can call it that. And they're definitely not improving if he can't get back to that level soon. So this is just a price I don't understand, man. That front four for Galaxy is going to be very dangerous in the coming weeks as they start to gel a little more. What you saw late in the second half is what they want, where you've got Puig running with two inverted wingers and then Joveljic just kind of hunting in the box. So, yeah, I love this look, man. This is easily my favorite look of the weekend.
Is Marquis Delgado missing? Is that a concern for the attack at all?
No,
Okay.
not for the attack.
Okay.
The attack is that four. Is that four. Like they're going to play quick, and as soon as you get to those guys, you're off to the races.
All right. So I think the line is wrong. Like we have our theories about it. You know, these odds were out on some books before that game was even over, before Miami LA Galaxy was over. So obviously odds makers hadn't had a chance to like see what this looks like. And I know you're not quite as quick to jump the gun and crown this attack the best ever. Which I
the best ever. It's one match, my guy.
I know. No, I get it. And I respect that. That's what makes this a fun dynamic, right? But man, these guys, Paintsil, Peck, Puig, and then obviously Joveljic up top, they just looked like on a completely different level than everybody else on the field for Miami defensively. And I know Miami doesn't have the best.
It helps that Miami has no pace anywhere. That team does not have one fast person in that 11.
But skill too. Like it was just, man, I was super impressed. I think LA Galaxy has the best attack in Major League Soccer. And obviously,
I talked about being high on Paintsil. Like I said, if they get that move done, that's my favorite offseason move.
Yeah.
And it is. And he should, similar to how Forsberg should look good. Paintsil's been playing. He's fit. He should look good against an MLS side that is not fit, even though they went on a world tour. So yeah, I do like this attack a lot, but to throw it up there with the 2019 LAFC or the 98 Galaxy is just, that's too much for me right now.
Right now, I get it. And only time will tell. But yeah, so look, I think this is a misprice. I think this is ludicrous that it's plus 136 because I think LA Galaxy can score 2 goals on almost anybody in the league. It's you talked about it being a short trip, you know, as opposed to they're not flying to the East Coast for this one. It's even the bad LA Galaxy teams have been going over this team total in the last couple of seasons. What else to say about this? I mean, I love it. I think it's awesome. A great price. I watched some of San Jose against FC Dallas. I thought that they were organized, but that doesn't really, you know, that's not going to be enough to keep Galaxy out here. Yeah. What else about this one? Anything?
No, it is what it is. I think you're going to enjoy. Galaxy games will be fun to watch. They'll be fun to watch, like LAFC games are fun to watch. Not road LAFC. That's not as fun to watch, but home LAFC is good.
Absolutely.
And very entertaining. And that LAFC Seattle match, that was the best match of the weekend. That was a great game to watch from start to finish.
Yeah, the Miami LA Galaxy game was also, I know it ended 1-1, and a lot of people, you know, obviously there was a lot of chances and it ended 1-1, but that game kind of delivered too. I mean, like the energy was fantastic. And I want to say this too. I know it was opening day, but the atmospheres and the energy around Major League Soccer was electric. Like had to be, I know opening days are always great, but it felt like it's never been better.
I do want to say for the Galaxy game, the reason why I'm not on the money line is because I have not seen that defense get tested yet. I think that defense had a combined age for the Galaxy, just the two center backs of like 70 years old.
It was more. I think it was like 73 or something.
Well seasoned, but Miami has no pace. So there was nothing to test them, right? Like those center backs never got tested except Messi's going to do what Messi does, right? And then right at the end, he does a little give and go with his best friend and scores, right? And you're just not going to be able to stop that. That's what Messi does. That's why he's the best player ever. That's why no matter what team he's playing in MLS, he is head and shoulders better than anyone else out there on the field. But because I have not seen this defense tested and I have real legitimate questions about the defense, I'm not getting cute here and taking the money line and think the Galaxy come into San Jose, even though they've had decent success there. At like plus 230 or plus 240, whatever it is. That team total is more than enough for me because I do believe if the Galaxy win, they're going to need at least 2 goals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. What's going on with the Suarez situation? The dude can't even he can't even move.
I don't know, man. That they're in trouble if they don't start playing Campagna.
What was that?
No, watch it. If you watch him in the game, dude.
Yeah.
If he has to run more than 10 yards after that sprint is over, it's not very fast. But after it's over, that dude's limping. You know he's in pain. You can see it. It hurts. And so he's already said Miami's it for him. Like whenever he stops playing in Miami, he's done. So I don't know. I know there's a lot of nostalgia there. I know him and Messi wanted to play together again. I don't know how Tata Martino, as great as he is, makes this team work if they're not firing on all cylinders from a possession and passing standpoint, because you saw that's what it took to break them down. My thing is, if you're going to run Suarez, you need to play a back 3 and have Alba and your other wing back, who's not Yedlin because he doesn't offer anything offensively, going all out attack. That's the only way you stretch teams enough to give Messi the space he needs. Galaxy played it so compact because they didn't have to worry about the wings. There's just no pace out there. I think that's the only way you make it work. And really, it's just you're waiting on Redondo to get in. You need Kramashi to get healthy. Like you need pieces. I'm no lie, man. Farias going down for a season into injury absolutely crushed them. And I don't think people really expected it to the way it did. But like he was part of that pace up, not up top, but pace in the midfield to help open it up, right? So I like Tata's a fantastic coach. He's way smarter than I will ever be when it comes to soccer. But I don't see how you make Suarez work without having 2 really all-out attacking fullbacks. Because I think if you start Campagna that game, and Campagna is not super pacey, but he can work for you, unlike what Suarez can do. Yeah. Suarez in tight spaces is going to be Suarez. He's going to be fine. It's just there's no way for Miami to stretch anyone. Like it was, you're scratching your head, and you're like, it's going to take Messi magic for them to score and like get in this. And that's exactly what it took. And you just can't depend on that every game. And so I think Miami has real legitimate glaring issues that I'm very interested to see how they fix.
I feel exactly the same way. I was looking at the futures, having some of those same thoughts, looking at the futures. I know, look, we're 1 game into the season. There's a lot that's going to happen. You know, teams are going to grow, teams are going to change. But as it stands today, I only feel better about the fact that we decided to not take any positions on Miami from a futures perspective, because all the value is on teams outside of that outside of Miami, like outside of Miami and even LAFC and Cincy. You get down, we got Red Bulls at 15-1, Galaxy at 25-1. Like I would rather have money there than paying 2-1 on Miami.
That's why you didn't take Miami to begin with, right? There's no value in 2.
Yeah.
Even though Miami is probably the best team ever on paper for MLS, but there's no value at 2-1, which is why you took some nice lines. It's why I went, like half value, right? Like half units on my final futures, because Miami can absolutely wreck it. Like I say that they have glaring issues. It doesn't mean they can't win everything, win it all. The talent is there. It's up to them to figure out how to make it work. But yeah, 2-1, there's no value there.
Yeah, and not to harp on it. I was already not high on the Luis Suarez to Miami train. Like a year before it happened, I was saying, like, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen, because it was one move that they could have made. If they had been wiser with that one move, they are far and away the best team in the league, and they should be 2-1 if they had been wiser with that one move at the 9, because dude, Suarez doesn't even have knees. I don't understand. I don't when you're talking about literally life or death of your season, and Messi's not going to be with us forever, and you go out and make a decision like that to bring somebody that basically can't play anymore, you might not win the title because you made that decision to bring somebody in that's buddies.
Well, they gotta. Here's the thing: getting Suarez is not the problem. It's playing him 60 minutes every match is going to be the problem, right? Like, there's scenarios where Suarez is going to pay off for you. However, there is a real reason why they kept Campagna around, even with all of the trade rumors going on, where they were going to try to move him so they could open up, because he was taking up a young DP spot at the time. I believe he's been bought down now to where he's no longer carrying that designation.
So
But
do they have a DP spot left?
No. They
got
well, they still have a young DP somewhere. It's probably his companion now that I think about it, because they have 3 under 22 initiative players. Farias goes down. They're allowed to replace that under 22 initiative with another one. That's how they get Redondo, because he has a season-ending injury. So they had roster compliance issues up until the 11th hour this season. They're going to have roster issues next season. Like, that's already, the makeup's already there for it. But there's a reason they kept Campagna, right? Like, one, he allows you to have the under 22s, all 3 under 22 slots. But B, Suarez can't be the only dude. He can't be the only dude. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of Campagna than I think we might have expected, or the casual fan would have expected, as you bring in Suarez.
So you have a lot more knowledge on the roster rules than I do as far as MLS. Do they have an opportunity to bring somebody in on a free on the summer window, and then does it?
I mean, the Modric rumors are already hot and heavy.
Well, they don't need Modric. They've got Messi. Modric's not going to play striker.
No, what? All right, now see, because I like Modric a lot, just like I like Messi. You're telling me if I can get Messi and Modric on the team, I'm not doing that?
I'm not saying
of course
no.
I'm doing that.
Yeah, I'm not saying no.
No, Campagna is the guy. Like, that is, at the end of the day, who they're going to bank on, because they're honestly not paying Suarez a ton. Like, he's not taking up a DSP spot. I think he's even under the TAM limit. So, like, Campagna is the guy who is going to have to find goals if Suarez doesn't work out. Don't get me wrong. I'll take Suarez on my team. I just want him for 15 or 20 minutes, right? Like give me everything you got for 15 or 20 minutes, because I know it sucks to be out there.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot more sense.
60 is too much, man. 60 is too much. It's just, I feel bad. I watch him play and I feel bad. Because you see a dude who doesn't want to give it up, and yet it hurts. Every second out there hurts.
Yeah.
And that's hard, right? Like, that's hard to really take in. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up kind of, rolling into that situation where he comes off the bench on a regular basis. But all right, let's run through these real quick one more time. I'll just roll them across the bottom. Vancouver on the money line, -110. Chicago Fire money line plus the under 3.5 market at +255 for a half a unit. New York Red Bull plus a half on the goal spread, also known as double chance. Then we got Toronto FC +1 on the goal spread. Same game, we also have New England Revs and Toronto FC under 3. I think there's a world where both of those win. I like that. And then we got our 2 units, Seattle Sounders -1 on the goal spread, even money for 2 units. And then our second 2 unit of the season. Garrett and I both are probably on this, by the way. We just kind of share it for the show purposes. LA Galaxy team total over 1.5 at plus 136 price tag. And that's going to do it, guys. And like David
Philly
said,
survives in extra time. They scored.
Who scored?
Philly survives in extra time.
Oh,
They
good.
scored.
That's a relief.
Philly's moving on.
My future.
Hey, I want to know what was the thing that impressed you most week 1?
Okay, that's a good question because I do have my notebook here with my grades. So I will tell you. Okay. I was very impressed with De La Vega, obviously. I thought he was a game changer from the minute he came on. I was impressed.
I like his confidence.
Dude,
You
I
got
told
Morris and Roldan out there, and when the penalty got called, he sprinted to the ball and grabbed it.
When I told you, I went back and watched his Lannis film from Argentina, and I said the kid just straight up doesn't hitch. He has no hitch. Like he's got ice in his veins. Like the penalty he took, like he just moves like a guy that doesn't have much to say, but he's just a killer. Like he's just a cold-blooded killer. He's awesome. So he's high on my list of week 1, somebody that really impressed me.
You only get one. Don't give me a laundry
Okay.
list.
All right. Your turn.
Christian Benteke is going to win the Golden Boot and MLS MVP if DC consistently play through him.
Wow. Yeah, he might score half of his goals with his head.
More than half. It'll be above 50% headers, no doubt. But I mean, the dude's never losing an aerial duel, like ever. But it's game 1, and I get it. Revs were down a man, so this is why I want to see more of it before I really sink my teeth into it, because he's already down to plus 600 for the Golden Boot, which is not a great price anymore.
Jeez Louise.
But if you're DC, why are you not playing through Christian Benteke? Why is not every ball just across to the box? Like, I've wondered this since they brought him in. And like, why are you not playing through this dude all game, every game?
Well,
and then they do,
yeah.
And he's dominant. And I'm like, okay, because DC's got a new coach, right? And Troy, their coach, said, I don't know why you wouldn't play through Benteke. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If DC does that all season long, yes, Benteke will win the Golden Boot and MLS MVP.
And DC will be a playoff team for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Really enjoyed today's show. Obviously, we are dead set on having a nice bounce back week. Make sure that you lock these in now. Lines are moving as we speak. So get these locked in.
Vancouver opened up at even money. Red Bulls opened up at minus 125. Galaxy team total was plus 155. Like these are lines we looked at, and then I took them closer to show so that you can get them close to around where I got them at. But yeah, all these lines have moved some already.
Yep. All right, right on. Best of luck this weekend, everybody. Let's have a great weekend. Very excited about it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really enjoy it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So you
David
never miss
Day,
an
thank
episode.
you. Thank you for that like button.
Yes, thank you, David. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.